virtual liaison, and you're listening to the official TRL Talks podcast.
So if you cannot appreciate, then you fuck off. Take cares.
Great, and there are steps that I took to get to this point where I am now able to say I'm feeling great versus the low I was feeling on Monday. So yeah, step one, and this is in no particular order.
Is the dog making too much noise? Can you hear him?
I couldn't even hear him.
Okay, good.
Hi, Riot.
You want to say hi,
Hey, Riot. Hey, boo. You Instagram famous.
Say hi, Auntie Oyinda. I said greet your auntie.
All right, hi guys. Welcome back to TRL Talks podcast. It's me, Oyinda here, aka the Retro Liaison, aka Big O, aka Podcast Mommy. I am trying to keep my energy up for you guys today because let me tell you something. I'm pissed off. I've had a rough week, and I'm just I'm done with it. You know when you're just things are a little too difficult right now. I'm supposed to be leading the life of a soft babe, and the things just aren't working for me right now. So I'm a little annoyed, but I'm here now, and this is my happy place, and I've come to Kiki with you guys. I have a beautiful lady that you guys can already see on y'all's screen.
My name is Tochi.
And
what
do you do?
You know what? Honestly, Oyinda, it's hard because with this emergence of Clubhouse, right? I've been doing a lot of introducing myself, and I realize every time I introduce myself, it just doesn't capture who I am. My name is Tochi. If you want to follow me online to see what I'm about, you can do that. There's so many layers to me, but I think starting off with my name, that's a good start.
Yeah. I'm the exact same way where it's when people are I'm
my spiel
used to just be vibing, I'm just me.
Whatever. Right, I'm chilling. The person you meet today, there may be layers added to her tomorrow and more the next day,
Child, one thing about me, the person you see right now is not the same person I'm going to be at 3 p.m. I go up and down, but I'm cool, whatever. I'm a vibes babe. So, let me ask you, let's start with this. How's your, today's what, Saturday? So the week just ended. How's the past week been for you?
The past week was good. I usually have a routine. I'm a very routine kind of person.
Opposite of me.
Oh, no, I like
me so much. Watching your stories at the beginning of the day, I'm wow, she is so put together. Ow.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, my rising and my moon, look at me talking I actually know what the hell this means, but I'm told, are both Virgo. So I'm told that my lists and wanting everything to be in the right place comes from that. But the routine, it was nice when I was going to work and I had things to do in my day, but I'm at home every single day and the routine was beginning to fade away. I don't know where it was going, and the past 2 weeks I was trying to grab onto it, hold on to it for dear life, and last week I was just you know what, whatever happens happens. So my routine happened, just not in the order that it usually does.
It usually does, yeah.
And I thought it was gonna really throw me off, but it didn't.
That's good.
Yeah.
Me, if I commit to doing something, right, and let's say I've done it for 3 days and on the 4th day I don't do it, it's gonna probably take me 2 weeks to go back and start doing it again. It's not that I'm not a disciplined person. It's just, I don't know, the days are just way too flexible now, and the lack of structure I think is not necessarily working for me, even though I don't necessarily miss having to get up in the morning and get dressed and go somewhere, and I live in New York, so it's the commute and all of that stuff. It's I don't necessarily miss that, but it added a level of structure to like my life where it's like, okay, I
Yeah.
do that at this time and this time and this time I had to be here. And then I would work in the things that I needed to do in between. And it's like, oh, if I like to have my morning coffee and this and that, I'll make sure,
Yeah.
at least like that was making sure I always ate breakfast, because I would always grab like a
Right.
coffee and something before I got to work or whatever. Now, like I'll probably not eat until like 2 p.m. and like
Mm-hmm.
the days are just wiggling together. I had a really good productive streak though, like when I first came back. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was very like, okay, I'm starting yoga and every day I'm waking up at 8 a.m. and yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third week came around and was like, girl, I mean, I don't know what you thought this was about to be, but it's not that. And so that
Um,
reality check was just like, fuck you.
do
But
you see your time in weeks, or do you see them like, do you see every day as a new opportunity to start again, or do you need to wait for a new week to start again?
I think my mindset now is a little different from what it used to be, where it's like, especially because, like, for instance, this week, where it's been like I've had difficult days, at the end of the day, I'll kind of just say out loud, like, tomorrow is a new day, tomorrow's a new opportunity, whatever. Like, it'll be fine. There's, you have a blank slate the next day. I never used to think about it that way, where it's like, if something like goes wrong, I'll just be like, wow, October has just been such a rough month.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I would always say things like that, like, wow, it's been such a difficult month already. And like I'm just like putting
Yeah.
that energy into like and mind you, it's like October 15th. Like there's still 2 weeks. Like there's time
Yeah.
to really like get things together. So now I'm a little better about like being like, okay, tomorrow's a new day. There's a new opportunity to like just turn things around or whatever. And so like
Yeah.
now I'm seeing things like day by day and even hour by hour, where it's like, okay, I'm choosing not to carry this into my night. Like I'm gonna go take a shower,
Mm.
I'm gonna go reset, do something else, and just
Yeah.
not manifest that the day is now just ruined. And I've been needing to do that because of the fact that so many little things, and it's like sporadic things here and there, that will like go wrong and annoy me. So
Yeah.
I've been needing to really do that a lot. And like I find that like saying it out loud helps me a lot, where it's like, okay, tomorrow's a new day, or we're not going to be upset
Mhm.
this evening, we're not going to have a bad night, we're going to go take a
Mhm.
shower. And me and my sister will talk it out, like, okay, the mood is kind of down right now because we live together, and like we be
Mhm.
having our mental health issues at the same
Mhm.
time. Like it syncs up like our menstrual cycles. And so we'll be
Mhm.
like, sis, it's time to get up. We need to get it
Mhm.
together. You go take a shower. You want to do your makeup? Let's open a bottle of wine. What are we eating for dinner? Blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
that's been what's been happening.
I'm proud of you. That's really good.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Tired of
Yeah,
being a
that's
sad
really
girl, to be
good.
honest.
So the thing is that I feel like one of the things that quarantine has done, I guess, is when you're so busy, at least for me, when I'm busy throughout the day, it's easy for me to like gloss over things I should really be dealing with. But
Definitely.
because I've been stuck like with myself, I've had to deal with certain things. And I realized that I was like, not, I didn't realize that I was sadness isn't a choice, but like, if I couldn't get out of bed, I wouldn't like the thoughts of me forcing myself to get out of bed. That wasn't a thought. It's just, oh, today I'm going to stay in bed. And so, what quarantine taught me, well, what therapy taught me, is that I can make the choice to get out of bed if I know that that's going to help me. Because in the moment, I don't feel like anything's going to help. But I know deep down inside, getting out of bed and getting into the shower is going to add positive points to your mood, Tochi. So I guess the little things that you do to like bring up your mood when you can, I commend you for it, because it took me therapy to realize that I could do that.
I am still, even the way I'm even sounding is like I have it figured out. I don't like, but just because I think that, and that even probably leads me into like what I really wanted us to get into today, because I think that 2020 was just such a heavy year for me. And for a
Yeah.
lot of people, to be very honest, like it's not an isolated type of situation. It's just the way that the year happened to shake out for like a good amount of us. And it was such a heavy year where like I just dealt with so much so back to back to back to back. And then I left and I went and spent a month at home. And I really like, before I left, I was kind of like, I gave myself a talk where it's like, this, trip or whatever is an opportunity for you to like reset your mindset completely. Because I had gotten into a very negative, like negative way of thinking because of how many things had gone wrong. So I was in this kind of like, what is the point, phase or whatever. And I'm like, okay, we're not carrying this into the new year because of the fact that you have set so many goals and there's so many things that you really want to accomplish that this mindset is not going to help you accomplish. And so you need to take this opportunity to really reset. You're going to be removed from like your day to day and like these responsibilities that like have to do with you being like in the place that you live. So take that opportunity, enjoy yourself, and really ponder what it is that your outlook on life is going to be for like this next phase, And so because of that, and me constantly reminding myself that that was a talk that I had with myself, it wasn't even anything that anybody else told me. So I know like, okay, you've thought this through and you know exactly what it is that you need to do. So even the days where I'm just like, today is a staying in bed type of day, I realize that when I go to bed at night, the nights that I sleep well are the nights that I know that I stuck to something that I said I was gonna do, even if it's minor. But like, okay, I know this makes me feel productive because I said I was gonna do A, B, C, Y, whatever, and I checked off at least 2 things on that list. Even if it was 5 things that were there, and I was able to accomplish 2, it's like the you of 3 months ago would have just said, "Fuck it, I'm not feeling like it today," and so I'm just gonna go ahead and really bask in this depression. But now just like productivity, like I need to keep myself busy. I need to do things. And it's not even necessarily me pushing myself because I really I hate hustle culture. Like I keep saying it, like I feel like our generation has gotten obsessed with like just hustle, 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 work hard, work hard, work hard, beat yourself up and like continue grinding. And it's good to work hard, but like there's
rest is also a form of activity.
Yeah, rest is still like, and it's like I take pride in, okay, I said 5 things, I did 2, I'm happy with that, and maybe tomorrow I'll do 3, and maybe the day after that I'll do 4. But like I definitely feel a lot better like knowing that I've been productive. So it's like those little things I just try to remind myself like, okay, it'll be maybe it's still gonna be a hard day, but you'll feel better about yourself knowing that you stuck to something. So I think that's what I wanted to like, okay, so because obviously from the outside looking in, right? When people get told that they have all of their shit together and like you seem so like disciplined, and it's like, no, I'm not. But like I feel like you kind of are very intentional with the way that you go about just life in general, and like in the way that you kind of choose to like portray yourself. And even like with you like sticking to do like showing people these daily affirmations and making sure like, okay, they're seeing you do it, and like, okay, they can read it, and you're saying things like say this out loud and stuff like that. How have you been able to really center yourself enough to keep to these like day-to-day practices that make you, that just like, I guess, feed your soul, if that makes sense?
Well, I've always been one to write lists the night before. I write lists about what I think it's important to know that I don't think everyone should do this. Like, this is just the way my brain works. Like, my lists used to be, well, when I was in school, I would write lists because I needed to know what I was doing between my free time, between classes. Because if I didn't, then those 3 hours would just come and go, and I would have done nothing at the time. And then I graduated, and I realized, like, I don't have a schedule anymore. And it felt weird to not have a schedule anymore, but still have responsibilities, because no one was telling me I had to be somewhere by a certain time. And if I didn't go, then no consequence. So I was like, okay, how can I hold myself accountable? So I started this list system where I would write my to-do list. And then that graduated to me writing things like, wake up 6:05, 6:10 to 6:15, bathroom, like down to the 15 minutes. I would plan out my entire day. And even just waking up at 6 o'clock and being able to cross out, woke up at 6 o'clock, would make me feel good. And I can move on to 6:15 bathroom. And when I'm at the bathroom at 6:15, I'll cross out 6:15 bathroom. And I liked how good it felt being able to cross things off through my day that I would do anyway. Like I'm gonna wake up, inshallah. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna go to maybe I won't shower depending on the day. I don't know. But like that would be the
I feel that on a different level.
So I started adding to that list, like, okay, these are the things that I do. But then what can I add to this that will make me feel good? And so people used to talk about meditation all the time. And I'd be like, you know what? Oh, fuck a meditation. Like I tried to meditate and I'd either fall asleep or my mind would start thinking about something else or my eyes would be, and they were like, just focus on your breathing. And I'm like, I can't focus on anything. This is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. But then last year I hit a different type of rock bottom. Like the rock bottom I hit, I was like, wow, this is a bit concerning. So then I started therapy. Saved my life. Ooh, love that for me. And one of the things I learned in therapy was like, what my therapist told me was, Tochi, you're allowed to schedule time to rest. Like in your whole schedule, nowhere do you have rest anywhere. You always have to be doing something. But you can do rest. So I was like, I can do rest. What does doing rest sound like? Well, if it's not napping or if it's not sleeping. So I started this, I started this meditation where it's really just me praying, because I was trying to build a closer relationship with God outside of the ways that I've been told I have to have a relationship with God. And those conversations I would have with God turned into little meditative moments where I started saying like, Tochi, you are great, you are inspirational, like just different affirmations to myself. So it started with prayer and then ended up me like bigging myself up. And then for Christmas, my partner and I went to her aunt's place and she gifted us these affirmation cards, which was just a coincidence because I had been doing this while praying, but now I had like cards.
Yeah,
something physical, right? So I thought, okay, let me add this, like after I finished praying, let me pick out a card and see like if the two somehow align or whatever the hell. And it just happened to become part of my routine with these affirmation cards. And the reason I put them on Instagram is because for me, Instagram is like a really good system to, like, I love photography. I love documenting things. And Instagram's like a cloud. You put something on Instagram, you go back into your archives and you can see it from 3 years later. So I put it up because I go through I scroll through my Instagram a lot. Like I go through and remind myself like, oh, this is how I was feeling on that day. Oh, this is the card I pulled on that day. Interesting. And so it's a way for me to hold myself accountable because I know that in the future I want to be able to look back and see what I did.
I feel you. You know, with the thing you just said about meditation, right? I always like went back and forth with the idea of like doing yoga, but like I was always kind of like, is this pretentious? Like this doesn't seem realistic. Like how are you all able to like, it just seemed, I don't know, it seemed like some BS to me because I had never tried it and I was just looking at it and I'm like, the way it even looks, the way they even portray it in like popular culture, and it's this white person in some dangly palazzo pants, like I'm just like, that isn't me. And I'm not even necessarily a very centered person. I'm a very do all the things and ignore your problems type of person. But like I'm like, this is like a way to one, like do some physical activity and also kind of have that like me only time where I get to like ignore my phone and all of these things, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna try it and just see. And I started yoga and I was like, wait, I get this. Like, I understand yoga. Like, it makes absolute sense. And then being able to do affirmations, like, when you're, like, you know, like, after you're done and just, like, sitting in a pose and, like, laying your hand on your heart or your head and, like, saying things. I'm like, this feels really good and this feels very honest to me. Like, as opposed to like, I find that it's easier for me to do those affirmations and like manifest things and like speak things into existence after I've done yoga, because I
Yeah.
spent those like 30 minutes, 15 minutes prior kind of like just doing an activity on my own and kind of getting out of like all of the things that are happening like in my space. And now it's just been me for this amount of time. And so when I'm speaking things to myself, there's a level of quietness that there is now where it's like, it's just me. And like whatever I'm saying to myself is genuinely coming from like the heart and the mind. And like I can almost kind of, there's a link between the two that the noise of life doesn't really allow, like in a normal situation. So it was like, kind of like an aha moment for me where I was like, this makes total sense. And like, I see how this could work for me, you know, because bro, I am not centered. Like I will, and the Aries in me is just like all day, every day, hard guy type of vibe. Just like I'm really not that, and I do need like the self-help as well. Like if I fall apart, then what, you know? And it's like also because of the fact that like again my sister lives with me, and a lot of the time I feel, even though I'm only one person, I can't possibly be responsible for both our mental health, but like she's like my child. And so when I see that she's down, I take a lot of that like responsibility on, and there's a level of guilt that I take on where it's kind of like, oh, could I be doing better as a guardian to make sure that you don't have these times when you're down? And like, how do I take some of this off you? Am I not doing enough and stuff like that? So all of these things are things that I carry on my shoulders like on a day-to-day basis. And so I was just like, girl, you are not Superwoman. Whatever it is that you're portraying to the streets is not true. And so it's like, I'm really owning my weaknesses now. And like, well, weaknesses, it's really just vulnerability. Like I don't see them as weaknesses, but I'm really just owning like just my humanness and just being like,
own your humanness.
Yeah, like just owning it and just being like, yeah, you know, I'm kind of falling apart today. This is the truth. How do we go from there? As opposed to like, no, it's fine, blase blase, like, because that was me before. It wasn't helping me, and it wasn't helping the people around me really understand when I needed some help, or when I needed some attention, or when I probably needed like somebody to vent to, because at the end of the day they're seeing me and they're like, yeah, she's good, she has it together, like, okay, she's going through this thing but she seems to be handling it just fine, you know. I wasn't handling it fine, especially last year. Like, child, when you said like you hit a rock bottom that was concerning, so did I. And it's crazy to kind of step out of yourself and be like, girl, is you okay? Like,
yeah, that shit was scary,
bruh, definitely. Like, I just feel like, but I don't regret it, just because of the fact that like I feel like it's shaken me up to the point where I feel like I can't go back, essentially. Like,
oh yeah, I think that's also another incentive to like, that's another accountability thing, is knowing where I got and being like too afraid to get there again. Like, I'm good
off that. Like, man.
One thing you said that I liked was how you made yoga work for you. And I think that's important, because we're told, like, when it comes to like self-care and wellness, I think there's like an industry for that. Like there's a way that we're told to do it. And there was someone had sent me a free 30-day yoga thing, and it started on January 1st. And you know what? I don't like yoga. I don't like, it doesn't center me. Like the breathing in and out, the poses, like it's not for me. And I was forcing myself so hard to make it work. So I was like, I want to be grounded. And that's what actually transitioned from yoga into the whole like praying and affirmation thing, because I was in one yoga pose and I was like, I like this one pose. I'm good with this one pose. And I just started praying in that one pose, and it became my daily. I forgot everything else. I didn't make it past day like 4. I didn't make it past day 4 doing the yoga, but I've been consistently doing this meditative thing every day. But had I tried to force myself to stick to the yoga, I wouldn't have made it.
How do you feel about, like, because just as you just mentioned, I was just about to say that, it's almost like the way that society, especially with last year and people being hyper aware of the fact that a lot of people were going through things, it's almost like there's a right way, like they're making it seem like there's a right way to do self-care. There's a right way to center yourself. There's a right way to be more mindful. There's a right way to be like affirming and to manifest and stuff like that. And like there's an industry, like you said, where it's kind of like selling this thing, this ideal to people like me that are just like, this seems really pretentious. And I think there's something to be said about like taking what you can and then making that work for you, because at the end of the day, like whoever it is that made up this thing is not me. It could have worked for them, but the way that they're trying to sell it, like, oh, if you do this then you will be blah blah blah, it's just not true.
I do think there is a right way to do things, but I think that right way is your right way.
Your right way, exactly.
So whatever works for you, that's what the right way is for you.
Exactly that, for sure, for sure. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm grasping at straws because like, but although sometimes I'm like, this character development should have happened like maybe earlier in my 20s. And like, I don't know, because that's like a dumb thing to think, right? Like there's no right time for like a character arc to happen. But I don't know. I just feel like the reason I crashed so hard was because of the fact that I was so on, like I was in like airplane mode for like just so long, where it's like I'm just doing life and like going with the motions and not really being very introspective and like thinking, like taking the moment to be like, am I okay? Like, am I doing enough for me? Have I really thought about what my next steps are? And are those the things that I genuinely want to do, or are those the things that I just feel like I should be doing? Because like from the moment I finished college, I felt like I was just like literally just moving through life like a zombie, and it's like, okay, this is the natural next step, all right, let's do that. And I'm just working and working.
Yes, like a robot.
Yeah. And it's like, to be honest, like, I mean, I don't regret it because of the fact that it's allowed me to grow and really learn things on my own. But I feel like I didn't have enough. Like now my sister, when she graduates from college, she's gonna have me to kind of like not necessarily hold her hand, but like really like talk her through things and like talk about things back and forth and like really hear exactly what it is that she's feeling. I didn't have any of that. So it's just like, okay, this is what seems like is the next thing that I should do. So like, okay, I'm gonna do that. I have responsibilities. Okay, I'm paying bills and I'm doing this
like
and
we're
I'm
not
working.
Feel life or like really taste. You know what, Oyinda, that's what I've decided. Like so I realized like that I had gone through life for other people, but I didn't know how deep it was. Like I didn't know how deep it was until I decided not to do it. And that even came down to like the way I interact with myself and other people online. Like even the content I used to create, like even thinking about how I used to take photographs, and I would think of the photograph in a one by one box. Like that's how I would think of photographs. Even if there was even if I wanted to see the whole scene, I would think, okay, what part of the scene can fit in a one by one box? And I realized like, wow, everything I do is with the understanding that I have an audience.
Yeah.
But I've never made myself
see it. Yeah.
And people are going to see it, but I have never made myself the audience. So like, there are certain things I wouldn't do because of how other people would respond. There are certain thoughts I'd have I wouldn't share because of what other people may think. There's certain content that I wouldn't create or I would create because of how other people. And part of my like hitting rock bottom was that the pressure in certain areas just got too much. Like it was too much, and I just couldn't. Like I could not hold on to it anymore. I couldn't, and I decided to let it go. Like I was out here trying to hold it. I did not know I could just let it go. And when I let it go, I realized like I have not been tasting life's fruits. I've been like moving through it like a zombie. And so now part of like acknowledging, I guess, the humanness in my experience is like, wow, I make mistakes. That's beautiful. I learn from them. That's beautiful. I do this. I didn't like it when I tried that. That's beautiful. Oh, I liked that. That's beautiful. Oh, I woke up late today. I'm not going to make myself feel bad for waking up late, but I was fucking tired. That's why I woke up late. I got to sleep in a bit. That's like my perspective on life has just changed completely. I don't care what other people think because it's not your life I'm living, it's my own. So if you think I make a mistake, you can take that and talk about it at the dinner table. Let me make the mistake and learn from it.
Period. You know what's so crazy? People have this perception of me, or have had this perception of me, that I've always been this very unapologetically me, nobody can tell me shit type of person. And it's not to say that that's not true, but I do feel like for a very long time, at least between like 18 and 20, bro, I will even say up until last year, bro. I'm about to be 25 in a couple of months. I'll say up till last year before I just had this fuck it moment where I was just like, bro, get the hell off of me. Like, I just had this thing on my chest because from so many different angles, I felt that there was something that I needed to be. Like, there was a way that I needed to appear that would be accepted. I even found myself adjusting who I was based on the situation that I was in at the moment. And it's kind of like, okay, while that's needed, sometimes there's an extent to which that can go where it's like, I'm now presenting a whole different version of me to these like two groups of people, and this person has an understanding of me that somebody else doesn't. And neither of these two things, by the way, are truly me, you know, like maybe they may be like some type of facet of myself, but I'm just like, why do I feel like I can't bring like my full self to all of the situations that I'm in? Why do I feel like I need to censor myself for people to like, for people to think it's a little more like find me a little more like easy to digest or whatever? Like, why do I think I need to achieve this level of perfection to be seen as worthy or be seen as beautiful? Why do I think that, oh, the way that my friends look or whatever is the way that I should be looking when I'm out with them? Like, that was another like identity crisis for me, where it's like I was dumbing down things that, like, okay, like my friends are very different from me, and I really appreciate that, because like I don't necessarily want to just be around people that like walk like me, talk like me, want to do the exact same things that I do. But it also doesn't mean that I can't be myself when I'm with them. And it's not even necessarily because they made me feel some type of way, but like this idea of conformity was just, it was eating away at me. Even last year with me, like I was one of those people that got laid off from their job because of COVID-19, right? And it came at the worst possible time, like, that it could have come. But it even woke me up, like, you didn't even want to be there to start with. And you were doing that because it fits into this path that you thought, like, that nobody even necessarily created for you, but just because of, like, the way the chips had fallen, it's like, okay, this is the natural next step. And it's almost like the universe was like literally threw me off of a cliff and was like, oh, if you don't figure it out, you are going to fall like on your face, basically. So it was like I was just pushed to do all these things. And it's like when I realized, like, bro, nothing is really permanent, and who is really gonna tell me anything? Like, and even my friends will say, like, wow, like in the last few months, like, you're so much more yourself, like you really just say whatever it is you want to say, like I see a difference or whatever, because I shed so much skin just from like past situations and stuff. And like I think now I am actually that person that people thought I was, where it's like now I am actually unapologetic. Now I will actually say whatever it is that I want to say and do whatever it is that I want to do. And I'm confident in who I am as a person. And I'm confident in the fact that no matter what it is I do, no matter what choices I'm making for myself, at the core of it, like, I'm a good person. I know that. And so I will always make decisions with people in mind because I'm considerate and I love the people around me. But it will never be that I'm adjusting myself because this is what I think is going to be good enough for said person or people or whatever it is, even like family, parents. Like, I've shed all of that where it's like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
And that's not necessarily easy, especially as a Nigerian, you know, like
that part. That part.
It's
Mm.
a bit of a challenge.
It is. It really is. And you know, the thing is, I will say though, I'm very thankful because in as much as like my parents are, I will never say that they're necessarily different from the average Nigerian.
No, they are. No, I hear you. I feel the same way about my parents. Like,
But
good
it's like
girl.
they kind of did the damn thing because they do really like just be like, is this what you want? Is
Yeah.
that gonna make you happy? Have you thought about this decision? Like, let me know what your thought process is. They will at least ask me, like, okay, why do you think that that's the thing that you should do? Like with the whole career change, like I did a complete 360 from what I did in my undergrad. I was a freaking, like, when I started undergrad, I was pre-med. Fun fact.
Oh,
I was pre-med. I don't know where or who or how I ever thought I wanted to be a doctor. I think about that now and I'm just like, bitch, what? No, ew. But like at that time, I'm like, oh, I want to be a pediatrician.
Yeah.
2 semesters into school, I was like, yeah, no. But then I didn't have like, I always felt this pressure, and it's like nobody was even necessarily putting this on me because I know if I told my parents I'm not happy in this degree, like I really want to change, nobody forced me. Mm-hmm. You know, when my dad found out what I was doing in school, he was like, oh, that's nice, like that's impressive. What did you say?
What did you do
in undergrad? Biology. Yeah, I was a biology major.
Oh, so you finished biology?
Yeah, I finished with the biology degree. Like I have the biology degree. And he was like, my dad is a creative, do you get? So it's like, he was like, oh, yeah, wow, look at that. Like, look at you, like just going the opposite way. Yeah. And kind of like, and then I came back and did a 360 and I was like, guys.
What was the career?
Yeah. What did you say?
What was the career change?
I'm in PR right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a career change.
Right. Yeah, so like I'm in PR and I'm trying to do this whole media thing and like my podcast and all of these things.
Yeah. Well, you're doing good.
Yeah, and it's like I'm just like I felt this pressure to follow through. Where it was like, oh, you started this thing, and if you don't like follow through, like you're gonna seem like you're not serious, or you're gonna seem like a quitter, or you're gonna seem like you can't do it.
To who?
And now I'm just like, bro, okay. If I decided at the time that I wanted to change my major and do something else, everybody would have been fine. But it's this anxiety that just like, oh my God, am I going to look like this? Oh, will it be like this? Oh, I have to be somebody that can follow through. I'm an adult. I have to blah, blah, blah. My decisions are my own. And firstborn complex. Hey, firstborn complex. Where it's like, oh, I can't seem like I don't have my shit together and I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, you are 19 years old. Who the hell knows what they're doing at 19?
No, but Oyinda, it's not. Who knows? I look at my
friends. What they're doing now, bro?
Like
I still don't know.
I'm gonna be 28. And when I was 20, at 28, to me, 28 looked like it just didn't look like how I am. This time is a concept. Age is not real. Like I look at my friends and I'm like, yo, we're having babies. Like we're having babies. Like we don't know what we're doing, but we're having babies. Which is what our parents did. Except what I think Nigerian parents are really good at is acting like they have everything together and acting like they never made a mistake and that they have it all down to a T. But the reality is y'all don't know what you're doing either. And
that's fine. Exactly. I wish they would be a little more human about things like that. I wish they'd be a little more human about things like that.
Yeah. But I think they equate making it seem like you have everything together with respect.
True.
And one thing I will give my parents, like I really, really like commend them for, is that they've grown with me. Like they have watched me transition and I've watched them transition with my transitions. But I also feel like my parents have been able to do that because we moved around a lot. So they weren't around other Nigerians. When Nigerians are around Nigerians, they just do this thing where they all just lack common sense together and they all decide to parent other people's children. But my parents were forced to parent us by themselves with no other Nigerians whispering in their ear. And it made me realize that like Nigerians as a community, we want to make ourselves always look a certain way, which is fine if you want to look a certain way, but not to your own detriment. Like, you can look one way, like if you want your facade to be one way, okay, but make sure your internal is good too. But people will be out here struggling, like really struggling. Like, you're taking a loan out to go to Dubai so you look wealthy for what? That don't make no sense. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I just be in high school looking at people's parents, like, you guys, your priorities are twisted. Like, you need another car, your child's school fees hasn't been paid. You're so stuck on looking certain way that it's become culture. It's like part of the culture to look good.
It's the optics for sure. Half the things that they do is so that they seem a certain way to the community. Yeah. That's why you hear things like, oh, what are other people going to think? What will your auntie or your uncle say? Or what would they say in church? What would they, like, it's just like, what are you saying and what am I saying? This is a family unit after all. What is our collective decision? How do you feel about what I'm doing? Independent of whatever it is that you think extended family or people out in the community are going to say, like, why are we not? Today, just this morning in the car, right? I was talking to my friends about, like, how, like, when I was really young, my mom was like, my parents were still very much hustling. Like, I remember this very vividly. And it's like, at that time, I didn't clock that they were literally just this young couple with a little child just trying to figure it out. And like, my mom would be up at 5 a.m. to go to like her shop, and she was doing nails and doing hair at the time. And like, my dad was still a struggling DJ, and like, he would feed me street food on a day-to-day basis.
Your dad is a DJ?
Yeah, my dad is a DJ.
That's so cool.
He is. He's really cool. I'm very proud of him.
That.
A lot of creatives, right, don't necessarily have parents that were also creatives,
or that were allowed to be
or that were allowed to be creatives, so I've been very grateful for that experience of like having somebody that like kind of had that come up where it was like, people weren't really doing this, people were doing more and my dad is in his 50s, so imagine in like the 70s, like being like, oh, I'm gonna be a DJ, people are like,
what?
Okay. Yeah. My mom's mom, when she brought him home and was like, this is who she's trying to marry because he knocked her up, she was like, he's wearing an earring. Like, what do you think this man is going to offer you in life? Like,
you see, but even that is wild. Like, he's wearing an earring.
It's like, it's an earring, bro. It's literally jewelry that you've now equated to somebody's self-worth.
Do you know what, though? I know that our parents are coming from a place of care. Like, I know that they just want the best.
The best, for sure.
Between what I think, the difference between our generation and their generation is we're not afraid. My dad is more like, well, if you do this and you wanted to get a job, how would you?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, well, if they won't hire me, then
maybe that's not the job for me. Exactly.
And he's more like, well, why don't you make yourself?
Why don't you make yourself for the job as opposed to making the job for you?
So we're just coming at it from different angles.
I'm glad now that like my mom growing up, she was very much the like traditional Nigerian mom where she's like, if you say any small thing, it's like you're arguing with her or whatever. But now like she's a lot more open to like just being like, okay, how do you feel? And then telling me how she feels, and it's humanized her in a different way. Like, I view my mom so differently, and now I can just look at her like, you're just like this, you're just a woman, like me, like you're just older, like we're the same, and like you even look like me, you've been through the same things that I've been through, you had to take on this first, she's not even the first child, but with the way her family dynamic is set up, like she had to take on that big sister role, and like she was hustling and she was taking care of her siblings, and I'm like, that's me. Like, you get me. Like, why were we not having these conversations when I was a teenager? Like, I would have had so much of a different, like, outlook on life if you had just been vulnerable. But like you said, they have this thing where it's like, respect to them means I have it together top to bottom, and I know exactly where things are going, and I know exactly, like, how everything should be,
I think I'm choosing to acknowledge all the different perspectives and then hold on to the ones that benefit me most. So like I'm enjoying it because I love to learn. I really love to learn, and learning more about myself through experiences, even if the experiences are not necessarily great, is exciting for me because I'm learning a new thing in myself
Yeah.
about myself. And it also keeps me going. Like, all right, what kind of not scar, but you know, if you like go through some kind of growth, there's
Yeah.
like some kind of evidence, you
Yeah.
know, like, and I want to see like what is that evidence? What will it look like?
What is it
How
gonna
will it
be
make me
for
a better
me?
person? How, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what I've decided it's gonna do for me. So like I just hope. I hope. And this year, like in past years, I'm like, I don't expect anything. I don't have expectations because disappointment and blah, blah, blah. But now I'm like, you know what? I have expectations. I want things. I expect things. And
Yeah.
I'm going to manifest those things. And those things better be on their way. Like,
Yes.
period. Because like I'm done with it. As I'm now crossing this 25 like mark, I don't look at age as a thing, but it's more so kind of like, okay, is this a big deal to me? Like this age is a big deal to me, not because I feel like I'm getting old, but it's kind of like a crossroads. Like it's
Yeah.
like, you know, now entering mid 20s, it's like,
Yeah.
mid 20s, what do I want my mid 20s to look like? And how, because really, I think I'm going to peak like at 30.
Oh my God, I'm so
I'm
excited to.
so excited for like my 30s.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's just like now I'm like, whatever I'm doing right now needs to set me up for
Oh God.
this person that I think that I'm gonna be at like 32 years old. 'Cause I'm
Woo!
so ready for that. Like people are scared of like their 30s, but like I'm excited. Like I would love that. I feel like whatever I'm doing now
Yes,
is like the
setting you up. Yeah.
foundation
Ah,
for that glow up.
I'm
And
ready.
I'm excited for that. You see, now I'm good. I'm not upset anymore like I was at the beginning of this.
Good. Oh yeah, I'm happy. That's
Right?
yeah.
Thank you for talking to me, baby. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having
Thank you
me.
for coming on. Come back anytime. Let the people know where to find you on social media.
Oh, you know, you can find me in these streets. What is my Instagram? Oh, it's a bunch of lessons.
I'm going to put it in the description box.
Yeah, it's the same everywhere though.
Yeah, it's the same everywhere. She's branded, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, you know what? Someone else told me that the other day too. Like,
No, you're very branded. Let me tell you one thing about yourself.
the
You are
brand.
branded.
Tell me what the
The
brand is.
way, it's probably just like you and the way that you do things, right? But it's a brand. Let me tell you why. Even the way your stories are set up, even the way that you will post your breakfast or like the things that you're eating,
Oh,
it's like I could never be this like detailed, and it's the
interesting.
same every day.
Oh, okay.
It's branding.
Because I like
People
routine.
associate with you, even if your name would not come up, like it was not at the top, but like that's branding to me. It's like, look at me entering PR. But if
Oh, yeah, I like this.
if your name is nowhere on like a picture, but I can be like, oh, this is probably Tochi's IG story. Oh, this was from Tochi. That's branding right there. Because
Interesting.
I would know your food posts anywhere.
Oh, wow. I like this. How do I turn it into money?
So, let me tell you, that's the next thing that we will thinking about.
You're not the first person to mention it.
You know what's crazy? All of these low vegan brands need to start sponsoring you. I'm gonna start there.
Okay, I'm plant-based now, so
Literally, all of these plant-based
look at my gallon of water.
bruh. People need to start sending you shit to try out. They need to start paying you for placements, all of these things. Because let me tell you, you're very much set up like an influencer. Like it's giving very much vegan influencer.
Wow. Bye for now. I love you.
For now, guys. Love you all. Oh, don't forget to subscribe, share, all of those good things.
Yeah, subscribe.
Y'all know where to follow me. Bye, guys.
Wait, Oyinda, I have one more question.
What?
Why do you call yourself the retro liaison?
It's, okay. When I was about 17 years old.